Missions to me is definitely sharing missions, sharing your mission. Jesus is our sharing Jesus is our mission. But how that works out practically, teaching English, vlogging, playing basketball, teaching a soccer clinic. Those are different practical ways that we are working out our mission. And that mission that we are doing, specifically our corner of the world, is what we need to share, and to share effectively. And for better or for worse, the way missions is done now, I feel like it's connected to the business world. Selling ideas. I'm selling the idea of why is what I do important and valuable and worth your time and resources and prayers. That you need 3 specific ways to share your mission. You need to be able to have like the movie poster view of your mission, the movie trailer view of your mission, and then the actual movie of your mission. So like the movie poster, so like just like a one hit, they call it an elevator pitch. What could you share to someone when you're going up in an elevator? And the thing that we've really found that works for us is prayer cards, but we've actually used business cards as a prayer card. It's cheaper, it's faster, I can carry them in my big purse with all my baby stuff. It has basic information because really that directs you probably to our website, to the YouTube channel, the different things, so that people can connect with us and get that whole movie when it's a better time, because it's probably not the better time most of the time. Second, like a movie trailer. Ours is pretty literally like a movie trailer. We have like a little introduction to us on our YouTube channel. It's like a 1 minute, we are the Fergusons, 5 minutes of us in little videos, and it says something like that pretty quickly, where we can just quickly share. And we have like sort of a little message in our head that's sort of like, hey, let's chat for a second. Here's the basic stuff about us. Here's a prayer card. See you later. Or a newsletter. We do e-newsletters. But those different things where you have more information, but it's not like the person is like sitting down. So that would be the third thing, where you have a personal meeting, you have time to sit down and talk. Or actually it could be like your website, because that tells the whole story, hopefully. Missions to me is not doing it alone. I've put together a list of some resources. I've listed it below for you because it's hard to just get it quickly in a video. I would say the top resource that is amazing is a website called alifeoverseas.com. Amazing. A bunch of missionaries from all over right on there. There's a bunch of resources. There's connections to counselors specifically for missionaries. Because guess what? We need counseling. CraigGreenfield.com. He has also written some amazing books. The Alongsider Stories, Subversive Jesus. Awesome books. Also awesome website about missions. Third, just for my women out there, it's called velvetashes.com. And it sends out like 2 or 3 different emails every week. There's like a book club, and it's just a connection thing for women. They also have like an online retreat. 4, Ann Voskamp, AnnVoskamp.com. She has some amazing books, 1,000 Gifts and The Broken Way. It's not specifically missions. It's about gratefulness and living a beautiful life with Jesus, which I think is definitely a part of what I need for my life. 5 is Pericletus.org. But it's a missionary couple who is focused on just basically missionaries not getting burned out, making sure missionaries don't get burned out. It's great. 6, wearethatfamily.com, and this is her name's Kristen Welch, and she has some books as well, Rhinestone Jesus, that are awesome. Their website, she does different stuff with free trade, some great articles about missions and what missions means, and doing missions as a family, bringing your children with you. Some really great stuff. 7, dlmayfield.com. DL Mayfield is another author. Her book, Assimilate or Go Home, was absolutely fantastic, and her blog is also as well. She does missions in the U.S., especially with refugees. And number 8, wordmadeflesh.org. Word Made Flesh is an awesome missions organization. They had this incredible magazine called The Cry. I'm not sure if they brought it back or not, but I have some old copies, and they are so encouraging. I love them. Their founder, Christopher Hertz, also has an awesome book called The Friendship in the Margin. Number 9, totally changed my life, the book Half the Sky. It's actually written from a secular perspective by 2 reporters. They did a second book called A Path Appears, but these books explain, especially women's issues, women's and children's issues around the world very clearly and completely, but also in a hopeful manner. Number 10, Scott Bessenecker. He wrote 2 awesome books that I really love. One called The New Friars, that really opened my eyes to what missions could look like, and Overturning Tables, which I just finished. So if you want all those quotes, you can look on my blog. So missions means to me learning from your mistakes. What I have done wrong. Definitely one of the biggest things that when I went into missions, I didn't understand, and so I blurred the lines of ministry and personal finances. So what would happen was I would go to Living Stones and I would see that we needed all of these supplies and all of this food and all of these different things, and so I would take my personal money and I would pay for them, and I would buy them, and not that that's a bad thing, but it is not sustainable and it couldn't keep going. Number 2 goes along with number 1. One of the big mistakes that I made was in fundraising. Fundraising for ministry and fundraising personally. So as a missionary, our family, we have 2 different objectives every time we go and speak different places. We have a set of objectives to fundraise for Living Stones and a set of objectives to raise for the Ferguson family as missionaries. But this did not used to exist. I would go places and I would represent and I would fundraise for Living Stones, because who doesn't want to ask for the things for that child who needs shoes on their feet? I was ready to go to the end of the world and fight and tell people and get what I needed for those children. But when it came to myself, and don't you want to pay for Rachel's plane ticket? Or taxes? Rachel has to pay taxes. Can you help fund Rachel's tax fund needs? But boundaries are set to protect us, and they are very important, and knowing what you need is important when you're sharing with other people. So those were specific. There was a whole lot of specific things I needed to learn to be able to do that. Number 3, working crazy hours to prove to myself and to prove to others that I was worth being supported, that I was worth being called a missionary. 4, not calling myself a missionary for years. Number 5, a mistake I made was that I did not want to spend money on myself or on creating like a home space for myself. I was living out of a suitcase, and I did not have a place to come home to that felt homey. So some things that I've done well, yay, is to keep reporting what's happening. Just keep sharing. Keep sharing. A lot of times you don't know who's listening, who's not listening. It seems like no one's listening, but to keep putting out the stories that God is doing, to keep sharing what's going on, to keep sharing your needs. A second is closely related to that is to keep connecting with people. So I put together a list, and I basically, every time I went back to the U.S., I made like a round of different people different churches I would get with, different people I would get with, and sometimes they didn't respond, sometimes it didn't work, but I had a list, and I kept growing that list, and connecting with people, and writing thank you notes to new supporters and connecting with them, and following up on those things. Number 3, not going into debt. And when I got married and received debt, getting out of debt quickly. I feel like this is one of the biggest problems for this current generation, and why there are less missionaries being sent out per capita from the U.S. is because we have a bunch of kids with debt. College, you get out of college and wait, no, you can't go on the missions field. You're paying off your student loans. I think something else that was important that I did was working hard to make sure not to complain publicly, but to go directly to people, especially coworkers here in the ministry, when there was a difficulty or something that needed to be worked through. And lastly, okay with just knowing a little bit. I feel like for most of the 10 years that I worked as a single missionary, I could tell you what was happening the next 6 months, and then I was not sure because of visa things, because of just how life was set up and how missions was going for me. And you know what? I joked about how God knew that God only let me know 6 months of my life at a time, because otherwise I wouldn't trust him. And I joked about it, but it was probably pretty true. Being okay with not knowing the whole picture is definitely important for missions. So there's a lot, not a little, of what missions means to me and what God has done in my life through missions, and as it is a part of my life, and I hope that helps you out.